The VAR review, Havertz goal and Jesus penalty. Video assistant referee causes controversy every week in the Premier League. But how are decisions made, and are they correct? After each weekend, we take a look at the major incidents to examine and explain the process both in terms of VAR protocol and the laws of the game. In this week's VAR review, Kai Havertz's disallowed goal for Arsenal at Aston Villa, and why Gabriel Jesus' penalty claim was so different to the VAR spot kick given to Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Plus, the rest of the big talking points. Possible goal, Havertz handball. What happened? Kai Havertz thought he had equalized in the 90th minute, firing home from close range after battle with Matt Cash. As soon as the ball crossed the line, referee Jad Gilt blew his whistle for handball against the Arsenal forward. The VAR, Michael Salisbury, checked to see if it was the correct decision. VAR decision, no goal. VAR review, Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta simply repeated clear and obvious in his post-match news conference. Yet for this decision that doesn't come into it, accidental attacking handball is an automatic offense if by the goal scorer. There is no subjective consideration for the referee or the VAR to take into account. It was a superb spot by Guilty. Yet at a time when officials get criticized for relying too much on the video official, Guilt was accused of guessing rather than getting the praise for an excellent on-field decision. Recent controversies have eroded trust, but there is plenty of other reasons to legitimately bash VAR and refereeing rather than on a correct call. After the ball was first played by Havertz, it hit Cash on the upper part of his arm. This was too high for any handball offense. The ball then appears to touch the arm of Havertz, though there is no conclusive video evidence on this. The ball might then have brushed the hand of Cash. A penalty isn't going to be awarded for the ball rebounding onto a defender from close range when their arm position is expected and not outstretched away from the body. It isn't the same as the penalty William Saliba conceded against Chelsea. The ball hit the France international from close range, but he was blocking a header with his left arm fully extended away from his body. The only way Cash would be penalized is for a deliberate handball. It was an inadvertent touch as two players contested in close proximity. The ball then drops onto the hand of Havertz before he kicks it into the net. The ball changes direction after it touches the Germany's hands. Perhaps the VAR took too long trying to make absolutely sure, but it was conclusive on one camera angle. If Gillett hadn't disallowed it, the VAR should have, although last season Salisbury failed to identify a handball offense as the VAR on 2 goals for West Ham United in their home win over Fulham. If Eddie Nketiah had been the goal scorer, the goal would count, as Havertz accidental handball would be irrelevant, but it was clearly scored by the latter. Possible penalty, Luis on Jesus. What happened? Arsenal were on the attack straight after the halftime break on Gabriel Jesus received a pass inside the area and turned. Douglas Luiz made a challenge and the ball bounced up. With both players attempting to kick it, Jesus got a foot to it first, with Luiz then catching the striker. The Arsenal striker went to ground looking for a penalty, but referee Gillett wasn't interested. The situation was checked by the VAR. VAR decision, no penalty. VAR review. There was much discussion comparing this incident to the VAR penalty awarded to Crystal Palace against Liverpool earlier on Saturday, but the challenges are very different. The incident at Selhurst Park is discussed in detail further down. Luiz and Jesus got to win the ball at the same time, and while the Arsenal player gets to it first, he goes to ground very easily, not commensurate to the way the Aston Villa players made minimal contact. This was a 50-50 situation, with one player getting to the ball slightly later. It would have been a huge surprise to have a VAR intervention. Possible red card, Carl's challenge on Nketiah. What happened? In the 87th minute, Diego Carlos tried to hold off Nketiah in the middle of the field. Play continued, but when it came to a stop, the Aston Villa player was booked. Was there a case for a red card for violent conduct? VAR decision, no red card. VAR review. Gillett wasn't looking at the incident at the time it happened, with the yellow card being advised by his assistant, Darren Kahn, and not through the VAR. Carlos tried to put his arm across Nketiah, but caught him in the head as he blocked him off. There was no elbow involved, and the Villa player didn't throw his arm. There were only a couple of camera angles available, neither of which showed the incident with the clarity needed for the VAR to be absolutely certain. This was an act of violent conduct and not accidental.